The Krugersdorp killers. Faith, fear, and murder in the name of God. This woman get 13 life sentence. In the early 2010s, Krugersdorp was a quiet mining town near Johannesburg. Peaceful, religious, and unremarkable. But beneath that calm, something sinister was forming. Cecilia Steyn, a charismatic but troubled woman, claimed to have once been part of a satanic cult. She said she'd escaped through divine intervention, and that God now spoke directly to her. To her small group of followers, she was a living prophet. They called her the Chosen One. What they didn't realize was that Cecilia wasn't saving them from evil. She was creating it. Birth of a cult. It began at a church called Overcomers Through Christ, a small Christian ministry devoted to spiritual warfare. When Cecilia joined, she captivated others with stories of fighting demons and surviving assassination attempts by Satanists. But soon, tension grew. Church leaders began questioning her claims. In response, Cecilia turned a few devoted followers against the church, convincing them the others were possessed or traitors. She and her closest believers broke away, forming Electus Per Deus, chosen by God. Among them were Cecilia Steyn, a high school teacher, and mother LaRue Steyn, her teenage son Zakrini Barnard, a gentle young woman who became emotionally dependent on Cecilia. John Barnard, another follower who would later become a key witness. Together, they became soldiers in Cecilia's so-called Holy War. The murders begin. The first to die were people from the old church, those who had questioned Cecilia's authority. In 2012, the group murdered Pastor Reginald Ben Dixon, strangling him and staging the scene to look like a robbery. Next was Joan and Peter Meyer, a couple ambushed in their home and brutally killed. Each murder was methodical, victims chosen by Cecilia, who claimed they were Satan's agents. Cecilia's influence grew darker. She demanded loyalty, money, and obedience. Followers gave up their jobs, their savings, even their children's futures to serve her. She claimed her health was tied to their faith, that if they disobeyed, she would die and they'd be cursed. Her followers believed every word. Murder for money. By 2015, the cult's motives expanded from divine missions to greed. They began targeting wealthy individuals linked to their community. One victim, Rianne Swart, was lured to a meeting and shot in the head. Another, Jared Jackson, was ambushed after withdrawing cash. Police found no pattern until investigators noticed that each victim was connected through a tiny web of acquaintances leading back to Cecilia Steyn. The killers, meanwhile, saw themselves as heroes in a cosmic war. They even photographed themselves after murders, smiling, holding weapons, calling it God's justice. The cult collapses. Everything unraveled in 2016 when John Barnard was arrested and turned informant. His testimony exposed the horrifying inner circle, how Cecilia ordered each murder, how her followers carried them out believing it was divine will. Detectives uncovered journals, coded notes, and hours of manipulated voice messages where Cecilia demanded obedience. The group had planned even more murders before being caught. When police raided Cecilia's home, they found hidden cash, weapons, and religious symbols, but also a frightened, aging woman who still insisted she was chosen by God. The trial. In 2018, the trial of the Electus Per Deus cult began. It gripped South Africa, the courtroom overflowing, the details shocking. Prosecutors described a web of mind control, religious extremism, and psychological dependency. Witnesses described Cecilia's charm, how she convinced intelligent, educated people to kill in the name of God. She showed no remorse. She smiled, quoted scripture, and said she was serving God's purpose. When the verdict came, the judge called the crimes an evil beyond understanding. Cecilia Steyn was sentenced to 13 life sentences. Cecilia Steyn and her children received long terms as well. Faith turned to fear. Today, the Krugersdorp murders remain one of South Africa's most disturbing modern crimes. A story of how manipulation, belief, and fear can twist into something monstrous. Cecilia's followers weren't born killers. They were broken, searching souls, turned into weapons by a woman who claimed to speak for God. In the end, faith became a tool for control. and one town's devotion became its nightmare. If this story gave you chills deeper than a South African night, take a second to exercise that fear with a like button blessing, and subscribe to Time Story before Cecilia Steyn convinces you it's a divine mission not to. More unbelievable real-life stories are coming. No holy rituals required.